Hi, this is Melinda Smith, and welcome to the Purdue Agronomy podcast, Road to College, with our guest, Jane Weircheck. Please join me in welcoming Jane. Hey, Jane, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are
Good,
you?
good. I'm well, thank you. So, can give us a little bit of a background as far as your time at Purdue and what you do now?
So I actually started out about 21 years ago working at Purdue just part-time, but in the last 11 years, I've been in this current position of undergraduate program coordinator, where I do advising with all the agronomy students.
So, you've been doing this quite a long time. So, you are a wealth of information here for incoming undergraduate Purdue agronomy majors.
I try to be, and I hope to be.
Well, in this podcast, we're going to just kind of talk about Road2College as far as just give you some insight and background into agronomy, the majors, some information for high school students looking into attending Purdue and possibly majoring in agronomy. So, what are our different majors within agronomy here at Purdue?
Okay, so the agronomy department has 5 different majors. They are applied meteorology and climatology, crop science, plant genetics, breeding and biotechnology, soil and water sciences, and then we also have an actual just agronomy major, and then there's concentrations that students can choose from, which are agronomic business and marketing, crop and soil management, or international agronomy.
Okay, so we have a variety of different programs and majors that they can partake in if they choose to come into the agronomy department at Purdue.
Mhm.
So how far in advance should one start thinking about getting ready for college?
You want to start in high school, definitely. I know there are some who start middle school, but high school is fine. I encourage students to do any kind of career inventories that their schools might offer. Job shadow people if there's something that they think that they're interested in, and just start thinking about classes and just preparing what will get you into college.
So technically, then maybe they should start looking at applying to college. Would that be their junior year, their summer going into their senior year? Do they work with their guidance counselors on this? How do they go about this?
Some schools will have guidance counselors who'll just walk them through everything. Others don't, but definitely junior year is when students will want to start looking at colleges, because applications will open usually late summer, early fall of their senior year for college. So that's when they definitely want to start, maybe trying to do some visits or just do some research online, whatever, might help them.
Okay. So what courses should one be taking in high school in order to prepare them if they want to come into agronomy and major in any of our areas of study? Are there certain particular courses that they should be concentrating on, or what would you advise them to do?
If they live in Indiana, then if they're following the honors diploma track, they're going to be set for applying and everything. They want to look at 4 years of math, your English, your sciences, not just biology, but looking at chemistry as well. Things that will prepare them. Also, they could maybe do dual credit classes or AP courses just to come in with some credits. That's always an option as well.
Okay. So what about with doing some AP and dual credit courses and things like that? I know that certain majors within agronomy are more science heavy, some are more math heavy. So it's really going to kind of depend on which major you decide to go in. Is that right?
Correct, correct. And students could look at AP courses like English or even math, and that'll help them definitely. But we have students who come in who don't have any credits coming in, and we're a 120 credit program. All the majors are. So in a perfect world, like I like to say, 4 years, 8 semesters, 15 credits a semester, that's 120 credits. If students come in with some transfer credits, then they might add another major, they might add a minor, or they could graduate sooner than 4 years.
And to provide a little bit of insight also, I do know that our website, if you go to the Purdue Agronomy homepage, you can access every major that agronomy has, and it does break it out as far as your courses for the 4 years that you would be within the majoring in that program,
Correct, correct.
which is very helpful. I know a lot of students kind of like to be able to visualize and see, okay, this is where I start and this is where I end. And so I think that gives them, it's just a valuable resource or a tool for them to kind of check out and plan ahead in a sense. So should one be taking or considering taking the ACT or SAT before applying to Purdue as a whole?
They can, and right now, fall 2021, the colleges didn't require
Mm-hmm.
the ACT or SAT, so it might change in the future where they do or don't require them. It's just something that students will have to pay attention to on the application page.
Okay, so this is almost like a year by year basis at this time.
Yes.
Everything's kind of up in the air at this point with that. How does one or can one study abroad, and how does one do that if they choose to come into Purdue as an agronomy major? How would they go about that, or can they do that?
Study abroad is an option. Obviously, with COVID, we had students who had to come home early last spring and they didn't have anything this summer or fall, but in a normal world, and we're getting closer to that, students can go on study abroad for a semester. They could go winter break, they could go spring break, Maymester, summer. There's lots of different options, especially if students are looking at options within the College of Ag, then they're pretty certain, that they could get some classes that would go on their plan of study instead of just being just free electives. They could actually, take something somewhere else and apply that to their major.
So how easy is it then if a student wants to come in and do a double major? Is that easy to do within the agronomy area? And if so, how would one do that?
So double majors, if students are coming in with a lot of credits, then that sometimes makes it easier for them to do it. It also depends on what they're wanting to double major in, with how close the two majors align, and can you use one thing for one major but can also be used for the other one, or will one of the programs give a little bit and be flexible in some things with that. So it comes down to what the student chooses.
Okay. Well, with that then, so when students apply to a college, do they apply to a particular college? Like, let's say if they're coming into Purdue and they know that they want to apply to the College of Agriculture, then from there, is that where they pick their particular major? And at which point then, if they choose to double major, this is where this all kind of happens.
Yes, what they'll do is, at least for Purdue, and they'll need to watch every college that they're applying to, what they require. But for Purdue, students have to pick a particular major. Then they have been given in the past an option to pick a second major. And I encourage students to do that. Just then you're at least, if the program is full for some reason, then they have an option to go ahead and get into Purdue, and then they could, work on switching majors after they get here. When they want to start doing double majors, that's something that we usually talk about with as early as their freshman year. Definitely, we don't want to do it after their sophomore year unless they're really close.
Okay. So at which point that's when they kind of have to declare a major?
They declare it when they apply at Purdue.
Okay. Okay. So it has to be declared upon their application.
Correct.
Okay. So how large, I know I get this question quite a bit when I meet with prospective students. How large are the largest classes, or how small are the smallest classes? And kind of what is the average class size coming into agronomy?
So largest classrooms, there are a couple of classrooms on campus that hold probably close to 400 or 500 students. And the students who are looking at biology or chemistry, possibly even math, depending on what class they are, some of our incoming students could be placed in one of those large classrooms. But for the most part, once they get started on their major, then you're looking at classes of anywhere from 20 to 30 at one time. Usually there won't be more than less than 15 in a classroom, unless it's you're doing independent study or something like that.
Well, and I do know that that is one thing our current undergraduate students really love about being an agronomy major is once you do get into your core major agronomy courses, there's so much hands-on that they really enjoy actually being able to get out there and work in the labs or work in our phenotyping center, work on the farm, work in the greenhouses. And so I know that is something that our undergraduates value very high, is having that opportunity to do so.
You're correct. The nice thing is, even at the intro level, for you could be a freshman your first semester and you might be taking Agronomy 105, which is an intro to crops class. And the nice thing is that students get that under their belt and they go to the career fair and they interview and they get chosen to be a crop scout. Well, they're able to take what they learned in 105 and apply that to their internship.
Which is a great opportunity, an amazing opportunity for the undergraduates.
Yes.
So in general, what kind of career opportunities would be available or may be available for some of the different programs in our department?
There are applied meteorology. They would be a meteorologist. You could see them on TV being that meteorologist because they'd be licensed. They could also be working towards climate change, so working for an independent or even a government agency for that. But students also agronomists, so out in the field working. They could be working for seed companies, fertilizer companies,
Doing sales.
Even, working in a bank. I mean, there's lots of opportunities out there. There's, the natural resource conservation services. Even, you don't think about it, but even with your local health department, they need people with an agronomy background for their soils.
Well, and I get this question a lot too, is do you have to have a farming background to be an agronomy major? And well, I don't want to be an agronomy major because I don't want to work on a farm. And I think that's a misconception that a lot of people have, even coming into the Department of Agriculture as a whole, or the School of Ag. That is what a lot of people associate agriculture or agronomy with, is I don't want to be a farmer, or I don't, want to work in a field. And so it's really good to have these conversations and open these doors to students so they are aware that there's a huge percentage of just our agronomy majors that have absolutely no farm background. And I'm sure you see it because you talk to them and you find out their backgrounds.
You're right. So over 50% of our students come from what we call a non-traditional farm background. So they, haven't come from a farm. They, could live in the city, in the suburbs. They might live out in the country, but their family doesn't farm. So, there's lots of different things. So then we have our students who do. They come from a family farm and they're planning on going back to the farm as well. But if you think about it, agronomy is hands-on, but it's also applied science. And the things that the students need to know, they're going to learn those in classes. Some of them will say, well, why do I have to take soil science? Well, you know what? Even though you're not from a farm, let's say you're wanting to build a house, you're going to have to know what kind of soil you have. So, can I have a basement or not? That sort of thing. So they learn even just the things that'll help them be successful.
So with that also, what kind of activities does admissions look at and experiences outside of academics? As Purdue as a whole Is there something that, they want to see on an application for admissions other than just your academics?
Yes, Purdue does what they call a holistic application. So they're wanting to see students who've been involved in activities. Sports can count, but not just sports. They want to even be in another club or something within the school, or busy, active in their community, whether that's 4-H, FFA, your church, community service, doing volunteer hours, things that's going to show them that they are
Just
they're wanting
well-rounded.
to be good, and
Right.
be leaders if they can be a leader and everything. And even when
Almost
the
in a
students
sense
come here,
almost in a sense kind of like contribute to the student base being on the
yes.
college campus.
And I even tell the students who here, once you get here, okay, you got into Purdue, but
Mhm.
now our goal is for you to graduate and to get a job. So
Mhm.
you still need to be involved in something. And every time I meet with the students, I'll always ask, well, what clubs are you active in?
Mhm.
Some might not be in a club, but they might be working in a lab setting, working another job, doing some things that are non-Purdue related. And that is something that employers do look at.
Right. And with that too, they not only, even if they were involved in clubs in high school, or even if they were not involved in any clubs in high school, I think it would be advantageous for any student coming in to get involved in the clubs that the College of Ag offers, and agronomy also too. So what are those clubs that they could be part of if they're an agronomy major?
We have an agronomy club, which meets every week, so students don't have to go every week. I always tease the kids who are living in apartments, agronomy club, you get a free dinner, but you also get that camaraderie. And I'm
And
like, that's
food
one
speaks
less night.
volumes. Food
Yes.
speaks volumes with college students for sure.
I said, that's one less night you have to worry about cooking or washing dishes or anything.
Right.
And you get that camaraderie. The students also look at the Soil and Water Conservation Club. There's opportunities to be on crops judging team, soils judging team. There's a forage team as well. And that's just within agronomy. We also have student ambassadors that we have had freshmen interview for, and they have been selected. And then, step outside of the department, and the college has a lot. But as a university as a whole, I believe they've said there's around 1,000 different clubs that they could look at and join.
Right. And all of those, again, can be found on the College of Agriculture website here at Purdue. They list every opportunity, any club that you're interested in, or maybe don't know you're interested in, that they do offer. So that's a good resource as well, definitely. Um, I do have a question though, because when I meet with prospective students, this is a question also that comes up: is exactly what does an ambassador do? What is their role within agronomy?
So our student ambassadors are really our face of agronomy. They will meet with prospective students and families. When before COVID hit, they would give in-person tours of the department, sometimes the ag campus as well. They also, I have them work, they have to contribute to a blog twice a semester. So they might relate about a class, they might talk about their internship, or if they're getting ready to graduate, what's happening, club that they're in, anything like that, just to kind of let prospective students kind of see the day in the life of, is kind of how I describe it, if they've done a study abroad, anything like that. And they're also there to help when we have like distinguished alum on campus, visiting the department, that sort of thing. We try to give them leadership opportunities as well for them.
And I do know too, a lot of times when they do join me in prospective student visits, it really gives a future undergrad student a day in the life. I mean, they really kind of break it down. They don't hold back. They say, these classes are awful, but they're going to be well worth it, or these classes are amazing. So they really provide a lot of information on the student life of things that obviously I don't know. So it's very valuable to have them on hand to be the face of agronomy. So I think that that's awesome. Um, I do know also some people have a question in reference to if they start a program or a major, but they want to transfer to another or do something else. Is that possible? How possible, if so?
It's possible, especially if a student stays within the department or even within the College of Ag, just because of the requirements that all students have within the college. Their first year too, they're going to basically be getting their gen ed courses, their chemistry, their biology, math, English, comm. They might take a class here and there that would go towards their major as well, but these are classes that they have to have. We call them prereqs, so they're required courses before they can take an upper level course or go on with that. And for the most part, it's not hard. We have ways to kind of, work around and be flexible as much as we can, depending on whatever major they decide to switch to and things. And that's the other thing that's nice, not just about agronomy, but about the college. You can go meet with any advisor in any of the departments in the College of Ag, and they're going to be helpful and they'll work with you.
And that's one thing I do respect about agronomy as well is our professors. How accessible are they to students?
Any instructor who teaches is supposed to have office hours, but you could be walking around the halls and you've experienced this too, where if you've got a student with you, if it's a faculty member that's walking and you're passing by, they're going to stop and say hello. Some of them will definitely remember their name and things. The other thing we do within the department is I do all of the advising for the classes and making sure that the kids are on track for graduating.
Mm-hmm.
They are also matched up with a faculty mentor. So every student will have a faculty mentor as well. And they have to meet with them every semester. And that's just a way for, especially for freshmen, they don't like to ask for help. They don't want to talk to a faculty member or an instructor, and they have to. That's not a choice. And some of them have, had great opportunities. They've been, they're like, okay, I'm looking for a job. And that faculty member can say, oh, I'm hiring in my lab, or so-and-so is looking for, a lab assistant, or oh, I interviewed with such and such company. And when they're talking to their faculty mentor, they can say, oh, we had an alum who goes there, or I know so-and-so who works there. Here's some things you need to look at. And it's just another way of just getting to know one more person in the department.
Well, and this is one of the most outstanding qualities I think that the Department of Agronomy has. I do know when I have ambassadors participating with me in prospective student visits, that is another thing that they just are so thankful for. Our faculty and our staff, being that our department is small enough, they always feel and continue to feel welcomed. Everybody seems to know everybody else, even if it's not your instructor, your faculty, your professor. It's almost as if, hey, John, how are you today? How's your classes going? So they take the time to really get to know our students and get to really mentor them. And I think that's a great thing. And that is one thing that I know our students value, is having that relationship with the agronomy staff and faculty.
You're right. And the thing is I know sometimes when parents have, kind of seen this as well, they're like, okay, you know what? I feel okay leaving my son or daughter here. I'm okay. I know that, someone's going to be looking out for them.
Sure. And I think that is a big incentive also, especially being a parent, letting your child go away for the first time, having that sense of comfort and peace, knowing that somebody, if not a whole department, is really taking an interest in my child and ensuring their safety and their well-being, and really being their guide to making them a stronger student, a better individual. And I think that is immeasurable to parents as a whole, and even to incoming freshman or even your senior year, just having that stability of knowing somebody's there to be your guide.
I always tell the parents that there's going to be times they're going to get the advisor speech, and there'll probably be times they get a mom speech. And they're just like, what? And I'm like, well, you know what? Sometimes you just need to go from a different view. And they're like, oh, yeah. And I mean, I still do that with the kids right now. Mm-hmm. I'll say something. I'm like, that sounded like a parent, didn't it? Like, yeah, but I need that. I need that.
I need that. Yes. And I'll tell you another thing, just hearing from other students too, they truly value that with you because you are upfront with them and you don't hold back, and you are their best mentor, their best cheerleader, but you're their mom too. And I know that they appreciate, respect, and value that. So we thank you definitely for something like that. So as far as tutoring and writing centers and services that students may need for additional assistance, do we offer those?
The college, or I should say Purdue does. There's a Disabilities Resource Center, DRC is what it's kind of referred to as. Mm-hmm. I always tell the students, if you're having problems, if you had an IEP or any kind of accommodations in high school, you can get those for college as well. So, mm-hmm. Do you need more time to take an exam and everything? There's nothing wrong about asking for that help because mm-hmm. it's going to help the student in the long run. And I've had
and I actually just met with a prospective student that has dyslexia and was asking, do you have services? Does Purdue or Agronomy have these services? In which I was able to direct him to that center because that's going to be very valuable to him and or anybody, like you just said, somebody coming in with an IEP. I don't ever want them to feel like, well, I can't go to college because I don't have these additional services offered to me anymore, because that's not the facts.
Yeah, and there's lots of different, they do a lot of different things, because my son just broke his wrist, and mm-hmm. The doctor wrote a letter so that if he needed a note taker, then the DRC would provide a note taker for him. There's also the Academic Success Center where, students might have trouble with time management and things, that they offer classes. They offer peer counseling. So there's different things there. There's a biology resource room, a math resource room, a chemistry help room. So there's different things around campus as well.
So definitely multiple opportunities for students to seek support in any way, shape, or form. So I think that's great as well. So as far as financial aid, I know that is also something that everybody thinks about, every parent especially. How does one go about applying for financial aid?
Everyone will have to fill out, or every family, I should say, will have to fill out a FAFSA form. That's the free application for federal student aid. Even if a student, like, okay, I'm not going to get any aid, that still needs to be done so that they can also be considered for scholarships. And that would be not only the university level, but at the college level and the departmental level.
Okay. So then also, I guess, my big question to you is, why Purdue? Why Purdue over any of the other colleges? Why Purdue College of Ag and Agronomy over any other school, any other department, any other program?
We give them that family feel, and we've talked about that. They could talk to anyone in the department, and that's one of the things that they'll hear. We're also one of the top 10 ag colleges in the world. So there's lots of different opportunities. We've had a World Food Prize winner. We have great research. We have a great extension group, and things that students will find something that they feel like they belong and they'll be successful.
Right. And, and again, that was one of the things too, I kind of look back on as well, as a third of our agronomy professors are named or distinguished. And so, that's a pretty good statistic just for being in agronomy.
Yes.
And like you had indicated, we have global leaders in crop, soil, and environmental science. We have the World Food Prize winner, so many opportunities, many reasons to choose Purdue. Department of Agronomy. And lastly, what advice or words of wisdom do you feel that you may have for high school juniors or seniors looking to applying to the College of Agriculture and majoring in agronomy?
I really encourage them to either do a virtual visit or an in-person visit when those start back up. Get a feel for everything, look to see what are they offering. It's amazing what students will be like, well, I researched online and, so-and-so does this. And it's like, wow, yeah, you really did research your items. But also, it's your senior year. Don't let senioritis get in the way of your grades. You still need to finish high school on a good note. But, take a visit, talk to current students, ask questions.
And my go-to always is, a lot of people are like, well, what do you do? What do we do? And so I always come back with, the top things that we do are, we help farmers improve soil health. We help improve water quality. We save thousands of lives with improved water and forecasting technology. I go back to, we help to feed 500 million people in Africa. We create tools and improve land use and the ecosystem services, and I think agronomy does amazing things. I think Purdue is an amazing school. So when somebody says, why Purdue? I always come back with, why not? Why not Purdue?
You're right. You're right.
But I wanted to personally thank you for taking your time today to go over the road to college, kind of give us some information that will be helpful to high school juniors and seniors and their parents when thinking about applying and how to do it and what we offer in the Department of Agronomy. So thank you for your time. I greatly appreciate it. If somebody does have additional questions after listening to our podcast, is there a way that they can contact you or reach out to you individually, for further information?
Yes, the best way, most because it's easier to spell, is they could just go to agronomy@purdue.edu and send an email, and that their question, or if they need to get in touch with me, that information will get passed on to me.
Perfect. Well, again, thank you, Jane, for your time. I greatly appreciate it. And I hope you have a great rest of your week.
You too. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed our deep dive into valuable information about agronomy and the whole process of what we have to offer. As always, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Purdue Agronomy, or subscribe to our YouTube channel at Purdue Agronomy. I hope you guys have an amazing week, and until next time, boiler up.